you're essentially growing their brand. You're in charge of that. So as a reseller, as a retail partner, you definitely have to be good with Amazon ads.
Being able to adapt and pivot, hands down, is probably the biggest thing that you need to kind of be in the mindset of in 2025. All right, so today I have a good friend of mine, Nick Milani, that I'm gonna be speaking with. Today we're gonna be talking about unlocking reseller growth, specifically pertaining to how to run ads as a beginner, which I'm super excited to connect about. Myself, I'm a private label seller. I've been selling on Amazon for the past 6 years now, and we do millions of dollars every single year, but we do a different model. I do know Nick. I do know that he explores other options for people wanting to sell on Amazon, and today we're gonna connect on that. But before I dive into things, Nick, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. I've been selling on Amazon for the last 7 years, generated just over $4 million in the reselling space, but built my own brand, sold it, and then ultimately went back into the reselling space, teaming up with brands directly to be their exclusive seller and ultimately run their ads, run their whole business on Amazon, or simply buying wholesale from authorized distributors and retailing those on the Amazon platform.
Love it. I know a little bit about your story, but I think it'd be valuable for the people listening to also know a little bit about your story. Mm-hmm. Tell us your first product that you got into.
Well, I would say it was Rogaine hair growth products, as well as some weight loss pills that I would essentially find from it was from another reseller locally at the time, and then I was selling that just kind of online on Shopify. And then my professor at the time, when I was doing my master's, told me, hey, have you tried Amazon? And so I was like, I guess people can sell on Amazon. At the time, I thought it was just Amazon selling on Amazon, but I realized that it's similar to other platforms where it's a marketplace. And so, that's how I first got started. A very interesting story that I always tell of me listing a product on Amazon on a Friday, being sick for the weekend. Took me about 30 seconds to list the product, and then kind of just forgetting about it, and then waking up on Monday after feeling a bit better and realizing that I made like $3,000 in sales. That's when I realized that I had to go all in, and so that's where everything started.
Yeah, the epiphany moment. I feel like I shared resonate a lot with that for sure. I worked corporate, went through that entire stage of growth, and when I finally realized that Amazon was an opportunity, we started educating the space, right? Mm-hmm. Teaching beginners, which I'm super excited to start diving into the questions here because, resellers, I think, is one of the best opportunities for people wanting to sell on Amazon, especially with what's going on in the world. So, You ready to dive into things?
Let's do it.
So Nick, as an Amazon reseller, when do you think is a good time to start running ads?
With a reselling opportunity, it's all about consistency, finding a listing that you can sell well. And if you're tracking the buy box, ownership of it, that is when you should realize, okay, now let me try and sink some cash into actually scaling the product. As a reseller, we might be on a listing for a month, we might be on a listing for 6 months or a bit longer, but it's really about finding listings that perform well for you and then scaling those. But there are some case scenarios where you find listings that are underperforming, and with the help of Amazon ads, you can absolutely raise the bar, create more sales volume, and get more people to actually see the listing. Yeah. So it's really about finding those underperforming listings. But then I would say for beginners, it's really just like whatever listing you're selling, go double down on that, go into that.
Yeah, almost like a proof of concept first. Mm-hmm. When you get your feet wet, I always like to say this to my students, get your feet wet, and then you can start investing a little bit more capital. Yeah. And I know ads is a huge strategy for us, and with running ads, it's all about that additional visibility and, like you said, sales velocity. So it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Initially you want to find a listing that sells well, but then if you see that it sells well, now use ads to instead of just taking a slice of the pie, you're trying to grow the sides of the pie. So, yeah.
So coming from a world of private label, like I said, Amazon ads is hands down it's our launch strategy. With resellers, you have the opportunity already having organic rank, you're going on listings, you're sharing that buy box. Why do you think that some resellers are using ads as a strategy versus not using ads as a strategy?
I would say a lot of resellers don't understand that you won't be spending your budget if you're not in the buy box. And so a lot of people are just, not informed that that's the case. So they're scared that they're spending money on a listing that they're sharing, right? And nobody wants to kind of waste money or put out money there for other people's benefits. So that's one big misconception, is that you're only going to spend your capital as your ad budget if you're in the buy box. So Amazon, it's automated, right? Like if you're not in the buy box, Amazon won't spend your budget. So that's number one. And then number two is that people just, I guess, don't understand Amazon ads or haven't used it or just aren't familiar with advertising. They think that they just need to find a home run product that is already ranking on the first page, and that's the only way to be a reseller. But these days in 2025, like, you have to be creative, you have to do what other people aren't doing. So there are many strategies now where you can take listings that are underperforming, or even listings that have stayed dormant, where there aren't any sellers on, but it's optimized, it's got reviews. It's a great chance for you to be able to jump on a listing like that and then use ads to bring it back on the first page.
Revival is huge. Talking about cold starts and things like that, I actually see that as an even bigger opportunity, taking the ones that are potentially dormant, people maybe not seeing opportunity, and using ads to really flip the switch, and then you take control, right? You can push some extensive volume by doing that.
Absolutely. There's tons of listings, especially for big brand products that might be a pack of one or a pack of two or a pack of six. Selling by the case pack is a big thing, and it's it's more margin, it's easier to ship, you don't have to break up a carton, and so there are listings like that usually dormant in the Amazon catalog. And so instead of just looking on the front face of Amazon or using software to look for listings that are already performing well with competition, to find listings in the Amazon catalog in Seller Central that have been dormant with zero sellers, but again, great reviews, listings, like those are great opportunities, especially to use ads to bring it back up.
Yeah, makes total sense. When it comes to running ads, I'm curious, can any reseller, like let's say I wanted to start reselling today, can I go and run ads like tomorrow? Or is there any kind of qualifications or anything along those lines?
No, in the reselling space, we're selling big brand products. So using sponsored product ads is available for everyone. There are a few other types of ads like brand, sponsored brands, display, as well as now TV, which is interesting. But you do need like brand registry, which has to do with getting a trademark of a brand. But for the most part, if you're not doing exclusivity and working with brands directly, which is the goal for most resellers, but in the beginning stages or even the more kind of free-for-all is working with authorized distributors to sell big brand products. And anyone can set up ads literally within like 30 seconds. And these usually tend to be 3 different types of ads. You could do just kind of like manual campaigns where you're giving the keywords for Amazon to target. There's automatic campaigns where Amazon will literally just automatically look at the listing and figure out what keywords you should do, and that's by far the quickest. You can probably launch an automatic campaign in 20-30 seconds. And then there's product targeting, which is actually my favorite, where you're piggybacking off of other listings' success. And if someone's doing great organically, you can run campaigns and be on their listing and be kind of the recommended products on the bottom of their pictures. So
we run all 3 of those campaigns, and I mean, again, like I truly think that running ads could be a massive opportunity if people are willing to go and learn that as a reseller. I think you have a competitive edge in the industry.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, like we're in 2025, you got to think creatively. You got to be different, and being able to run ads to make, again, the pie bigger rather than just trying to take a slice of the pie is the name of the game now. And again, if you're trying to work with brands and be more exclusive with them, you have to have that in your toolbox. Absolutely. Right? Because you're essentially growing their brand, you're in charge of that. So as a reseller, as a retail partner to these brands, you definitely have to be good with Amazon ads.
Absolutely. It's really cool to see perspective from a reseller being there's interesting things happening in the world right now. And I've definitely explored trying to take that route to just really grow my business ultimately. And I think as a private label seller, knowing ads and coming into reselling, it could be a game changer. But I think my biggest takeaway from my conversation with you is, being able to adapt and pivot, hands down, is probably the biggest thing that you need to kind of be in the mindset of in 2025, because Amazon is a massive opportunity, but more and more sellers come in, people are seeing that opportunity, and therefore, what are those things that can give you the competitive edge? And by the sounds of it, Amazon ads is hands down one of those things.
Yeah, again, in the reselling space, because things are always kind of evolving, you don't necessarily know what Amazon is going to throw at you in terms of what you can or can't do. I would say striving towards working with brands as direct as possible is definitely the game plan for a lot of resellers now in these times. And using Amazon ads, obviously, again, is crucial to grow that brand. But even for products that you're simply reselling at scale, there's just so many ways to use ads to reach more people.
Yeah.
And if you do it well, and if you're able to actually create campaigns and show Amazon that you have a budget that you're willing to spend, things become very interesting, and you'll realize that Amazon might actually work with you
Exactly.
behind the scenes. Who knows? But all I know is that I'd rather create ads, even if they're like small, low bid ads. I would have something and show Amazon that I'm willing to spend a budget to grow this listing and show it to more people, and things will work like in your favor most of the time. And hey, if you actually perform well on a listing and have traction for a specific brand or product, and you then have built sales history, you can always use that to then go towards the brand and be like, hey, approach them, show them that you've been doing well and that you know what you're doing and you have history, and that can always work in your favor to try to get closer and closer with that brand.
Absolutely. I think data is king, right? Data in this scenario works in two facets. Number one, data to scale your Amazon business, but data to also scale your partnerships, which is really cool. So if you guys are beginners, intermediates listening to this podcast right now, this is how Nick Milani, an avid reseller, wholesaler, he's been doing this for the past 6 years, and he's truly giving us some great advice that you can go and implement tomorrow. Again, reselling is an opportunity that you can truly get started as soon as possible, which is something that I find so unique. So I hope you guys saw value. I hope you took away even one thing that you can take away from this business. I'm a firm believer of getting 1% better every single day and always having your mindset into learning and being a student. And I know Nick also shares that.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.